Hi and welcome back. This is Jennifer McGuire and thank you for stopping by. Today I am doing something I used to do a lot but I haven't in a long time, and that is to create bookmark cards. Cards that incorporate bookmarks that the recipient can remove is a great way to make the card more special, and they can keep it and use it and make it a little more functional. So I have 4 different ideas for incorporating bookmarks onto your cards. These are all a little bit different and very easy to do, so I'm hoping that you'll give one a try. And you can use this with any products you may have. Let's start with my favorite type of bookmark to make, and that is a corner bookmark. You can incorporate on your card, it just slides right out, and the recipient slides it on the corner of their page to keep their place. Now I have a few cards showing this. The first one uses the reverse confetti Corgi Cuties stamp set on the left, just adorable images. And then I used I'm Missing You from the Friendly Rainbow set on the right, which happens to be free with purchase for a limited time over at Reverse Confetti, and I'll have that information below. I'm also using an older die set that happened to be one of my favorites in the previous year. This is Reverse Confetti Stitched Square dies. These have 3 lines of faux stitching on the inside edge, and I really like the look of that. So I'm going to use one of these, and it cuts a square that's 2.5 inches by 2.5. In the center, I'm going to stamp one of the cute little corgis and a sentiment below it. I'm using my MISTI stamping tool just because it's handy, but you could definitely use an acrylic block if you prefer. I'm stamping this with a Copic friendly black ink because I plan to color it with Copic markers, but you could definitely color this with any medium that you prefer. Okay, so now let's create the corner bookmark. Now I'm going to give you the measurements for this, but I'll also tell you how you can do your own measurements. But if you want to keep it simple, just go with what I did. So this is 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. I need to make a bookmark corner that is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, which is just a little bit bigger, a 1/4 inch bigger. Well, to make a corner bookmark that is 2 3/4 by 2 3/4, you need to double that and cut that from a piece of cardstock. So doubling that is 5.5 by 5.5. And I'm doing this from red cardstock, so I have a nice red trim on the outside edge. Next, you need to cut this diagonally. So I put it in my trimmer so that I cut from one corner to another. So you can see that those corners are lined up with the edge of my trimmer, and I cut it. Very easy to do. Now I need to do score lines back at that original dimension of 2 3/4. So that's halfway along one edge. Then I'm going to flip it and score the other way too. So what you'll end up having is a scored square there in the center with 2 little triangle flaps. This will form your bookmark. Okay, so you can see the score lines there. I'm going to fold both of these flaps in and reinforce them with my bone folder. Then I'll fold this flap in and reinforce that, and you can see how the 2 ends meet together in the middle at a diagonal. Now I have off screen die cut another white stitch square, just like the one that we've stamped on there. This will go on the back. I'm using strong adhesive here because I want it to stick, and this is Gina K Liquid Connect adhesive. So I'm going to put adhesive on that and put that over the side that has the split on it. This will be the back of the bookmark, and I can write a message there or stamp something else if I prefer. Okay, I'm putting something heavy on that while that dries, putting adhesive on the back of our stamped little doggy here, and I'll put that on the other side. I like to put it so that the open corner is in the bottom left. So you see the open corner of our bookmark right here? It's on the bottom left, and then I glue my image onto that. So there you can see I have my corner bookmark, and this will slide over the corner of a page, which I'll demonstrate later. I used a square die for this, but you could definitely have just cut your own square. I again did 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. Next, I wanted to do the light gray background. If you look closely, I did an impression with the other 2 stitched square dies, which I haven't cut apart yet. Now to do this, I'm using my die cut machine and an embossing mat. That's this brown mat here that's flexible. I'm just following the instructions with my die cut machine. All die cut machines are able to do this. I put my cardstock on top of the mat, then my dies face down, and I'll just tape it so it doesn't move, and then I run that back and forth through my die cut machine according to the instructions. That mat allows the die to make an impression in the cardstock instead of cutting it. And check out that cool look. It'll look nice framed around that square bookmark. Now this cardstock piece started at 4.5 by 4.5. I decided to trim a little bit off the edges there just so it has a nice finished look. Okay, so now we need to create a slit along this that our bookmark can slide onto. So I'm going to do a diagonal cut from the corner here to the corner opposite that. This will give us room to slide our bookmark in. I could have put the bookmark in the center and drawn little pencil dots. That would work too. I'm using my trimmer so I can drop it right at the point where I want to start cutting and then lift it at the other end. If you don't have a trimmer like this, you could definitely use a craft knife and straight edge. Okay, so now I've got that little slit where I can slide the bookmark on, and it'll stay there until the recipient takes it out. Now it's time to do some quick coloring. Now, I have said in videos many times that this is not something that I'm really strong with. I just color to be able to complete the card, but I did want to share a tip that makes it a little bit easier for me. Whenever I'm coloring a bird or a dog or a flower and I'm unsure how to color it, I do a Google search. In this example, I have a Corgi, which is this cute dog. So I Googled Corgi illustration. Then I click the images button and all of these images come up. And I can kind of follow that as a guide for how to color, where to put different colors in different spots. I find this really helpful and something that you might want to try if you struggle with coloring like me. Okay, so once I finish coloring this, it's time to glue our card together. So I have my piece with the slit cut in it, and I'm going to put liquid adhesive around the edges. Do not put it near that slit because you want to be able to slide the bookmark in and out. So I just put it all around it, kind of forming a square with my liquid adhesive. It looks like I'm putting a lot down here, but it's very thin lines. You don't need much when you're using a strong glue. Now I'm gluing this right up close to the edge of a piece of dark gray cardstock, and I'll trim it so there's a very thin mat around our background. Okay, now I can glue this onto a white note card. I just thought that dark gray would make it pop a little bit. And this card ends up being about 5 inches by 5 inches. I love making square cards. I use square envelopes, but it does require more postage. If you don't want to do the additional postage, you could put this in a 5 by 7 envelope and avoid the additional cost. Okay, so now on the back of that, I wrote a little message for my recipient, and now I can slide this into that slit that we cut on the front, and there we have our card. Now I did add a little shimmer to that heart that I stamped above his head, and I did that with my Tonic Aqua Shimmer pen. I just felt like that added a little bit of sparkle to the simple design. So here's the completed card. I will write a message in the inside to the person letting them know it's a bookmark and that they can slide it off up to the right, so that way they don't miss that. And here you can see how it works. It just slides over the corner of your page and it holds there, which really works well. This is a type of bookmark that I used as a kid, so I thought it would be fun to demonstrate for my first example in today's video. Okay, I wanted to quickly show you another example for those of you who don't like doing square cards. Here's another one, very simple to do. For this one, I used the new Reverse Confetti Girl Power stamp set. Lots of empowering messages on here, and I decided to use the hands along with the Stronger Together message. So off screen, I die cut a 2.5 by 2.5 inch white square, stamped the images and colored them and added a little heart. Now I am awful at coloring skin tones, but here are the colors that I did. You may notice I rarely color people in my videos because it's really hard for me to do, but it's something that I really need to learn how to do better. Okay, so I'm assembling my little corner bookmark exactly like I did before. In fact, I'm using the other half of the red square that we cut into a triangle, so it didn't go to waste. Now I wanted to add this to the front of a 4 by 5.25 inch piece of craft note card. So I held it in the place I want it to be, and I put pencil marks at the corners. Now I'm going to cut a slit that connects those pencil marks. So I drop it at the first mark, and I cut and I lift it at the second mark. Again, you can use a craft knife for this. And now I know that the bookmark will slide into that perfectly, and it will be positioned right there at the top of the card panel. First, I wanted to stamp a little bit of interest to that background, so I decided to use the Reverse Confetti Cake and Champagne stamp set, which I've used in a video before, and I'll link to it here. And I just am stamping those little sparkly looking images repeatedly with a craft ink over my craft background. Sometimes instead of looking for a background stamp, I instead just create my own look by repeating a small image. Now it's time to glue this onto a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch white note card. I'm putting adhesive around the edge, as you see here, then above the slit, in the bottom of the portion of the card, but not in that triangle below the slit, because that's where the bookmark needs to slide in. You can see this is really easy to do, and you could place that bookmark anywhere you want on the card. So there you can see the corner just slides in and it's positioned nicely. I then added a little bit of sparkle to the heart. I thought that would be a fun way to make it stand out a bit. And here you can see the completed card. You can also tell that this would easily work with any stamps that you may have. You could use background stamps. You could use die cuts on the bookmark. I do try to keep the bookmarks as non-dimensional as possible so that it isn't bulky in the book. So I don't usually add gems or anything like that. Now, after this, I thought, wouldn't it be fun to change the hands a little bit and put fingernails on them and bracelets and a little heart tattoo? So I made another bookmark. I haven't turned it into a card yet, but I wanted to show it to you. That one is actually going to go to Lila, so I probably won't even put it on a card. But it's fun to change up simple images like this to give it a different look. So I just thought this image was so fitting for right now, and I was really excited. Okay, now it's time to do a different design. This one, I use a background die cut as a pocket for a bookmark. Now this works with many different types of background dies. I chose to use the reverse confetti on the curved die. You want some sort of background die that has lines across it, either stripes or diagonals, or you could always cut your own slit into the background die cut and nobody will ever see it. But this one I felt worked really well. So I have a white die cut here that I'm going to glue to a white background. I'm going to do an inlay with this. So I used the die to cut from different colors of scrap cardstock, and now I'm gluing a rainbow in the middle, and then I'll glue in the leftover white pieces towards the top and the bottom. You don't have to do inlay with this. You could definitely leave it open, totally up to you, but this was a really quick way to create a fun rainbow background that went really well with this stamp that I'll be using. Okay, so now we need to cut the slit for the bookmark. So I have my little craft knife here, and I'm just going to cut along the background. See how you could do this really with any background die cut, but this one worked really well. So I'm just making sure it's big enough for the bookmark that I intend to put in there. So you could put this slit anywhere on the front of the card. This happened to be just about the right position. Okay, now it's time to create our bookmark itself. I'm using the reverse confetti perfect timing stamp set. I have used that top left sentiment on so many cards. I've mass-produced cards for nurses and doctors, and I use that on many, and I thought it would be good for a bookmark. So I stamped it and trimmed it down, and now I'm gluing it onto the front of a piece of black cardstock that is folded to form a bookmark that will slide over a page. I also die cut a bunch of little hearts in the same colors that I used for my background and glued those in a line on the bottom. You can see how this perfectly slides into the slit that we cut with our craft knife. Okay, now we just need to glue this onto the front of our card. I'm going to start by putting a piece of tape here so that the bookmark's positioned in the center on the front, and then I'll put adhesive around that on the back. So I'm putting it right around the edges, and then I'll put it up close to the bookmark, but not too close. You want it to be able to move in and out freely, but you don't want it to slide out. So you can see where I put the adhesive, and now I'm putting this onto a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch top folding white note card. I can remove the tape, and you can see how the bookmark will slide in and out easily. And once again, I will put a note inside of the card telling the person that it is a bookmark. I finish this off by adding some shimmer pen to the hearts and to the colorful stripes in the background. It's a pretty simple card, and adding that shimmer adds some interest. You can see how the bookmark slides out easily, and then I'm just going to tuck it onto a page to show you how it works. And again, I didn't add much bulk so that it would fit nicely in a book. And by the way, this is just one of Lila's new books. We haven't looked at it yet, but I grabbed it to demonstrate how the bookmarks worked. Okay, so that is yet another design. Use a background die cut to create a pocket. Okay, this next idea is to create a bookmark that has magnet in it, so it holds onto a page. You don't have to put the magnet portion on. Now, in this case, I also show another way to add a bookmark to the front of the card, with or without the magnet. Okay, so for this, I'm using that friendly rainbow stamp set that I showed you at the beginning. That's free with purchase for a limited time. I stamped that twice onto white cardstock with black ink. And I like that the solid letters of the word are also included in the set. So you can fill it in with black easily, or use them separately if you wanted to. So you can use a hello friend by itself or with the rainbow. After I finish coloring it, I'm just going to cut straight along the bottom, just cutting off the ends of the rainbow there. And then I'm going to cut right around the top. I'll keep the center of the rainbow there. You could cut it out if you want, but it would be tricky to cut around the hello friend. Okay, so now I have my two rainbows. On the back, I'm putting strong double-sided tape towards the bottom of the rainbow, all the way to about 1/4 of an inch from the top of the rainbow. I have pieces of magnetic paper there. Now, you could buy magnetic paper, and I'll link to some, but really, all you need to do is take some of the magnetic paper that comes with some dies that you buy and use it for this instead. So I glued it onto the back of the rainbow, just towards the bottom, not that top 1/4 inch. And now I'm cutting the excess off. And you'll see here, the magnet is on most of it, but not the top edge. And I'll do the same with with another piece of magnet. You could use a much smaller piece of magnet, even a little strip along the bottom. It's probably better to do that, in fact, but I decided to try covering the entire back except for the top. Okay, so now I have two rainbows that are the same. Now we just need to glue the top together so it creates kind of a card, like a mini card that will slide over the top of a page. So I'm putting double-sided tape on that area up at the top. I'll trim the excess off, and then I will glue the two pieces together. I actually did go back, and I didn't show it in the film, I'm sorry, and put some liquid adhesive in there too. I don't want this to come undone, so I want to make sure that it stays nicely. Now we can push the top together very firmly, and there we have what's kind of like a card that will fit over a page. I'm using a black marker just to trace around the edges where it was white. Now for the note card itself, I'm using the reverse confetti stitched burst die. Now this doesn't cut anything, it just does a burst pattern. So I'm taping it to the front of a 4 1/4 by 5.5 inch white note card, running it through my die cut machine, and I get this fun pattern. Next, I'm going to take a piece of cardstock and wrap my rainbow around it. This is the piece of cardstock that will hold our rainbow onto the front of our card. So I put it onto the cardstock. I'm putting little marks where the cardstock strip will go, and then I'm putting adhesive on the edges of my cards between those marks. Now I can glue that strip to my card, and it'll hold the rainbow in place. So this is another way to add a folded bookmark onto your card. Just put a cardstock strip and tuck the bookmark on it. You can do this whether or not you use a piece of magnet or not. So here's the completed card. I did add some Aqua Shimmer pen to the words hello friend, just for a bit of sparkle. Now I will put a note on the inside to let the recipient know that this is a bookmark. And you can see how it pulls apart, and then the magnets hold it onto the page so this won't fall out. Lila really likes bookmarks like this because she's carrying her books everywhere and they fall out a lot, so this is a good option. However, I will say the bookmark corners that I created at the beginning of this video, they don't fall off easily either, so that's another option. So there you have another way to add a bookmark to a card and even to add magnet. Okay, my last idea is definitely the simplest idea and the type of bookmark card that I make the most. I used to make these all the time. You can even add ribbon to the top if you want. In fact, I'll link here to a video I did 11 years ago showing a version of this card if you want a good laugh. Okay, so let's get started. I made two cards at once here. I used two different sets. I used the reverse confetti hanging blooms stamp set, which I've wanted to use for some time. I think it's neat how you can stamp different images together here, and I like the hang in there sentiment. Then I also used the reverse confetti school days set, which is great for teacher cards, but I'm actually making this for Lila's friend. So I'll be using the little bear there along with You're the Berry Best. So I have a top folding white note card that is 4 1/4 by 5.5. I'm stamping on that and then I'll cut it in half. It just seemed to be a great way to quickly make 2 bookmarks. I stamped the images and colored them, and now I'm creating the little rope or string or whatever to attach to the top of the pot. So now we have 2 bookmarks made. These are folded bookmarks. Now for these cards, I did repeated stamping of images from the stamp set on both of them. So I did blue images on the blue card and pink images on the pink card, again creating my own background stamp look. So here are the 2 note cards that I have and the 2 bookmarks. Now we just need to do something to attach the bookmark to the card. So what I'm doing is I'm drawing pencil lines. You can see they're about an inch or so apart, but right up against the edge of the bookmark. And I'll do that with the other 2. So I'm lining up kind of close to the edge of the card, drawing little pencil lines there. Now on this card design, I'm going to create 2 slits between those pencil lines. So I'll drop it at the pencil line, cut, and then stop at the other pencil line. Then I'll do another one towards the bottom of the pencil lines I created. So I'm creating 2 slits that are about an inch or so apart. Now I'm going to erase those pencil lines, and this is how I attach the bookmark. I go in from the inside and weave it through those slits, and then it holds it in place so it doesn't slide off, and it looks nice on the front of the card. So here's the first one. This is the pink with the hanging bloom stamp set, and you can see how the bookmark is attached. If you want, you could add a sentiment on the inside for your recipient, so they would have that sentiment on their bookmark all the time. You can also add ribbon easily to the top of this if you wanted to. And in fact, that video that I linked to from 11 years ago, it shows how to add ribbon to the top if you wanted. Okay, so here you can see how I slide it back in once again. And there we have a very simple design. This is a great one to mass produce, so I think I'll make more of these later. Okay, here is the other one. Again, I have those 2 pencil lines. I'm going to drop the blade at one pencil line and drag it to the other pencil line. And there you can see the 2 slits. I can go ahead and erase the pencil and then weave the back of the bookmark through, and it'll be held in place and perfect to send in the mail to someone. Not much bulk to this card, so it's an easy one to mail. All right, there you have it. Several different ways to incorporate a bookmark into your card. I know that this is a different idea, but I really encourage you to do it because it's a great way for a person to take an element of your card and have it with them and see it often. Now, if you're interested in the supplies that I use, I do link them below in my YouTube description, and I also have a couple videos linked here in the middle, including that video from 11 years ago. Thank you for spending this time with me today, thinking of all of you, and hope you're safe, and we'll see you again very soon.